welcome is denome, and wow, this move was very violent, and I'm sorry if you have lost money here. If you watched my previous video, I did warn that below 2880 will be the bear zone, and that's when I will be flipping short. Unfortunately, the move was a little bit too fast for me. I was doing something else, so I was able to sell my positions, or some of my positions, like LDO and Ethereum, but I did not flip short. So I still lost a lot of money in this move, but I was able to protect at least some of my capital, which at least for me was nice. So let me know if you actually lost money here, or if you flipped short, or if you got wrecked also. All in all, I hope these kind of things don't happen too often. But in this video, I will give you the new ideas. I think the bottom is in locally, but let's take a look at the charts here, and I will show you what I mean. So first of all, let's go to the weekly view on Ethereum first, then we'll take a look at Bitcoin, and then we will take a look at some of the altcoins. So here you can see we had this trend line from 2016 all the way until yesterday. And yesterday, or the day before, it got basically broken here. And from this broken move, that's when I flipped bearish. That's why I said 2880 is the key number. I was a little bit slow. I started to unwind my positions at 2850, and then the price just continued to collapse. But anyway, that was the price level there. Now, currently, we do have this trend line basically supporting us, and there's this line here as well, this support line that is basically helping us. And this is very important because this is a key area of interest. A lot of people are betting this line will hold, and that's basically what is causing the price to go up as well. So let me show you. You can see here the price violently reacted to this price level, and it went upwards. Here, price violently reacted to the downside as well, and here this was the local top, multi-month top as well, so a violent reaction once again. And then finally it got there was a resistance to this line, and finally when it flipped bullish, this was the accumulation zone for Ethereum, for the price move that doubled the price of Ethereum once again. So these are the reasons why this area has a lot of interest. And some people say technical analysis doesn't have any merit, but I think it just shows what people think, what people perceive as something that is valuable. So I think this is why the price level is very likely to actually hold this support line as well as this trend line here. Unfortunately, I do consider this to be the bear zone because we are flipping into the bear zone of a multi-year 2016 to 2024, 8 years or 8 years of basically being on top of it, now being below it. So I consider this to be the bear market, but in the short term, I have made a 3x long leverage play with Ethereum, and I bought LDO back, which I sold here. So where I expect the price to go back to is when we actually go back to 2021. You can see from 2021 to 2022, we had a similar like a support line here. And when that finally got broken to the downside, we had the violent move, and that was basically where we had a nice pump again. So I think there's a good chance that the same structure rhymes that we had here. So let me show you exactly what I mean. So from here, from this top to this line, this was roughly a 50% drop. And then below the line, there was another 50% drop, and that was the bottom. So here we have a little bit shorter drop. It's not as violent. So this was only roughly 20% move to the downside, and the drop currently has been roughly 20% as well, a little over 20%, but roughly 20%. So it would again make sense that we have a bounce, and in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense that the bounce back would be back at least to this white line. So it would make sense to basically close your positions at the white line here. So that's my short idea. Now, stop losses, these are extremely important. So have your stop loss below this wick here. So the wick price is $2,116. So if you have your stop loss as $2,100, I think you are pretty safe. So that's my current play right now. So if we go below this trend line here, then we might actually go and have just absolute cryptogeddon, and we go all the way back to $900, back to this low here. Because again, we have had a similar situation before, right about here, when the price of Ethereum fell all the way to $82 roughly. And from here, there was bullishness. We had a very nice move to the upside, a downside, upside, and then we had the COVID crash. And nobody was expecting us to hit this low again, but we did. And this is where I sold my house. This is where I maxed out my credit card to buy crypto and went all in. I thought this is when I will get rich or die trying, was basically my idea. And that worked for me. So if we see something like that again, I will be making very big bets. Not financial advice, but this is where I will be making my big bets. But as of now, I do believe this is going to be the local bottom, and the stop loss having here makes a lot of sense. And again, it doesn't mean that Ethereum will just go to $900. Doesn't mean that at all, but who knows? The real world markets are pretty shaky right now. We have to see how the Monday open, the Tuesday open, and Iran is still basically to attack Israel, so that could cause the markets to crash as well. There will be a lot of supply line issues from that, and if you start seeing armies being deployed into Israel from USA, I think that will cause some panic. And obviously the real world isn't doing absolutely amazing, but some people are actually seeing a recovery in the real world, so it's not that bad necessarily. But we are seeing the situation escalate in Great Britain as well. There's the riots, the nationalistic riots right now, and also Muslim counter riots. So all in all, I think it's a very interesting time and a very unpredictable time. Or maybe you can predict that there will be a civil war and people will have to fight for their lives, but I say unpredictable because the volatility can be very extreme. Doesn't mean like it could seem like it goes to civil war, but then it calms down. So let's say volatile time. That's a better explanation. Anyway, that's Ethereum for now. That's my idea for Ethereum. Let's take a look at Bitcoin now, then altcoins finally. So Bitcoin actually went back to the range low here. Not exactly perfectly touch it, but we made a new lower low in the charts already. And there's a good chance that we have a bounce here, because every time we have come to this line here, there's been a violent move back to the upside. Here we did see basically a double dip to the lows here. So maybe we see something like that again. If the price of Bitcoin starts hovering here for many days, that may signal that we actually fall below once again. And the problem with crypto is usually or sometimes crypto precedes the real world market, and crypto has to crash first. Then the real world markets also have a crash, and then crypto basically follows the real market again and has a secondary response to the real world market crash. So if that were to happen, maybe Bitcoin could go all the way down to 44, 45K price points. And these I consider to be like the absolute lows for Bitcoin. Ethereum might have a lower than that, and other altcoins may have go even lower than that as well. But I think that's going to be the absolute low for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin falls below this 45K, 44K level, which with the accumulation that we have seen in this channel, it's very hard for me to see that, but who knows, maybe it goes there. but I don't believe Bitcoin will go to the range lows here at $15,000. That's absolutely insanity. I just don't see it. So the price level that I do see as a potential absolute low is 38K. So that could be hit. I don't know. Could 31K be hit? I just don't see it. Maybe it could. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Personally, I'm not seeing it right now, depending obviously what's happening in the real world. But all in all, Bitcoin looks pretty strong, at least compared to altcoins. Now let's start to talk about altcoins a little bit, and let's talk about Bitcoin dominance. So you could, by the way, long Bitcoin, and if you want to, it's at least cheaper than it was before. So that could make a lot of sense. But I'm currently not buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance, we haven't seen the high here yet. So as you can see, we've been in this channel here. We broke the new highs basically since the last 24 hours, but we still have more to go until we hit that 60% number, which I believe is going to be the top for Bitcoin dominance. So if you go into altcoins, there may still be a little bit more downside to come before we start seeing good things for altcoins. But eventually, all of this bearishness will pass, and the markets will flip bullish. Eventually, the governments will start printing money and respond and come to the aid. They always do. So Bitcoin dominance still has way to go up. So Bitcoin might still outperform altcoins, at least in the short term. Next up, let's talk about some of the altcoins. So let's talk about LDO for now. So LDO, I talked about it at $1.4. It was at this low here. It just made a lot of sense to buy it. But after Ethereum went below the price point 2880, I actually sold my LDO stash, and I rebought it again at $1.06 here. So the price has gone a little bit lower than my price point, but I have my stash back as of now. So I was able to protect a little bit of my capital lab from like 25% move at least. But who knows, maybe it will go even lower than where we currently are, but it seems extremely cheap at these price levels compared to the fundamentals like I talked about in the past videos. And if the Ethereum price point currently holds roughly $2,100, I think LDO should do pretty well. So I think this is a safe bet. But again, I thought it was a safe bet at $1.4, so who knows ultimately what is going to happen. But LDO looks to be bottoming. Another altcoin that, in my opinion, looks to be bottoming is Matic. So for Matic, when we take a look at this trend line from basically 2021, you can see we touched these lows a couple of times. We are touching that once again. So it seems like a very decent idea to have a bottom. But again, I have been wrong. I thought this support line would have held, which it didn't. So it could obviously go lower if it wants to, but it just seems like a good time to actually buy Matic as well. Next up, let's talk about Solana, because I know many people like Solana as well. So for Solana, Solana, in my opinion, looks a little bit scary. So we have this trend line, and for Ethereum, we already went and touched the trend line here. So it looks very possible for me that Solana goes back to like $60 to at least retouch this trend line here. And when we take a look at Solana here, you can see that we're basically touching this support line here, but we have seen a lot of slowing down on Solana here. We do have a bearish divergence here on RSI as well, and it just looks to me like it wants to come down. But it could go up, but if you are holding Solana, consider at least having a stop loss roughly at $117. It could easily flip bearish from here, below this trend line. So Solana, in my opinion, looks bearish. That's just my take. And obviously I wish I had bought Solana here at $20 and rode it all the way to 200, but I wasn't part of the Solana. I didn't see the value in Solana, so I was wrong there once again. But at least I don't want to be holding Solana as of now. It looks like it wants to come down. When we take a look at some of the other altcoins in the market, most altcoins are down like 30% in the last 7 days. There's a couple of exceptions, like Tron, TRX. I know many people shat on me when I talked about TRX. It had a limited upside on that time, so I was wrong on the upside, but the downside is a little bit insane. So you see only 2% move to the downside in the last 24 hours. Also, its counterpart, the Justin token, JST, it also went down only 4%. But everything else is basically double digits to the downside in the markets. So you could find very nice bottoms here in some of these altcoins, but like we talked about with the Bitcoin dominance, there may still be further downside with altcoins. But all in all, I think Ethereum at least has that local bottom for now. That's my take. When we take a look at the last liquidations, what has happened, and it's always the liquidations that cause the price to drop further. We saw in the last 24 hours almost actually over $800 million worth of liquidations. So this is a lot of money, obviously. But interesting part is that we saw more Ethereum liquidations than we saw Bitcoin liquidations. So a lot of people were basically longing Ethereum, and they lost a lot of it during these liquidations here. So that kind of gives me the idea that maybe the Ethereum liquidations have been overextended compared to Bitcoin liquidations. And when we take a look at the liquidation levels on DeFi currently, there's a few price levels here that you should know about. Let's put Ethereum here because there's just more 3 times the amount of total liquidatable amount than Bitcoin has. So first price point here is roughly $2,100. So like I showed you that below that Ethereum will flip bearish, and that's because there will be liquidations in that price point. The next price point there will be a lot of liquidations is here, $1,960. So I think when the first price point will be touched, which is the $2,100, that will cause these to cascade as well. So from there, the price of Ethereum will go even lower. And here you can see something scary at $1,770. What is this? $560 million worth of liquidations for that price point. So if Ethereum would go down and we saw only $300 million worth of liquidations with Ethereum alone, now we have almost $600 million of liquidations if the price of Ethereum falls all the way to $1,770. You can suddenly see that Ethereum could just completely crash to like almost $1,000 to the range lows that I showed you in the chart. So this is why if you long Ethereum right now, it's very, 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 very important that you do have that stop loss ready, roughly at $2,100 here. But for now, I am bullish, expecting the price of Ethereum to at least go to $2,800, and let's see how things escalate from here. Those are pretty much all of the ideas I have currently for the markets, and let me know your ideas in the comments. Let me know if you have any critique for me, or hopefully you were able to actually protect your capital as well during this time here. And let's see how things move onwards. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.